Check out the links in my description for more information, for more resources. Check out the podcast. Check out the Facebook groups. Just check out the links. There's a lot of great stuff there. Comment, rate, subscribe, share, like, dislike, whatever you want to do. This is my Hatchhyack MISCS Rejuvenate deck. 1 copy of the leader. 4 Dark MISCS King, Devilish Dominator. 4 Black MISCS Saint, Splintering Mind. 4 Goku Skillless. 4 Oceanus. 4 Shenron Figure Majesty. 4 Toa Dimension Leaper. 4 Goku The Adventure Begins. 4 4-Star Ball. 4 Power Burst. 4 Goku and Vegeta Saiyan Scion. 4 Janemba Wicked, Agent of Destruction. 4 Super Pycon, True Mastery. 4 Raditz Giant Force. 4 Majin Buu, Agent of Destruction. And 4 SS Gotenks Absolute Unison. So I have a total of 24 Unisons in this build. Not too surprising, but I wanted to, because originally I had 30 Burst in the deck, and which gave me blue energy, right? So that I have a total of 20 blue energy, but also and I took out Wicked Janemba, so I could put in the Super Pycon instead to go more of that route. But then I decided, I still want the option to potentially mail my opponent out. So it's like, all right, let's take out the 30 burst. Right, and then just go back into, still want 20 blue energy, so put the Wicked Janemba back. Didn't change much because 30 bursts don't have combo power, so it's not that much of a difference. So I still had 24 cards that didn't have combo power, so it's not that big of a deal for those who care about combo power. So there's that. So I was able to put back Wicked Janemba, so I can use it for its +0 ability to draw a card and make my opponent draw a card, then make them mill a card. So essentially taking 2 cards out their deck, or just can get them closer to decking out. So there's that. Plus, this also has the ability to gain triple strike and 15k, so it can become a 30k triple strike. So I could also use it as a finisher. It has a +1 ability to gain crit, so I can use that to apply pressure while not giving my opponent hand advantage. So there's multiple uses for the card. Of course, Pycon. The main reason I built this deck, I modified it from the original skillless Gogeta build, and I'm going more burn route, adding more burn, more so not to use burn to finish the game, but more so to win in time. So making sure my opponent's life points is lower than mine before time runs out is ideal. If I can burn my opponent for a game, that's also good too. Not a problem with that, obviously. But then potentially mail my opponent out through the mill effects to the deck is another potential way of winning. And then, of course, using Pycon life gaining ability to keep my life higher than my opponent. So that's where the Pycon True Mastery comes in, because he has the Rejuvenate effect. Once per turn, remove 5 markers from this card. Take a card from under this card, place it to the drop area, and take the top card of your deck and put it into your life. That's how Rejuvenate works. So this has the +2 ability to let you look at the top 5 cards of your deck and send any blue, up to 1 blue card among them to the drop area and shuffle your deck. Obviously, we're not going to do that. We're just gonna +2, and then just shuffle our deck, and then that way he can gain markers. That way he can stick on the board longer, but also obviously get him up to the 5 marker threshold, right? So that way we can do his Rejuvenate. He has the active main ability to draw, +0 ability to draw a card and place, unless you place up to one card from your hand under this card. So this is how you'll guarantee you can put a card under him, because typically you will have to take another copy of him, put it under him, in order to, one, get a marker, and two, to be able to rejuvenate. So you could, for example, play this for 2 energy, right? Like you could rejuvenate as soon as turn 2, for example. Play this for 2 energy, do its +2, his +2 ability, so that he has 4 markers. Attach a second copy to him to give him a marker, so that he has 5 markers, and he has a card under him, right? And then activate Rejuvenate and gain a life. So as soon as turn 2, you can bump yourself up to 9 life. Obviously, you want to attack with him first because he has a 15k. Take advantage of that, especially in Hatchhyack, right? But then gain the life. That way, you gain the life, so you have 1 life more than your opponent, and then turn 3, drop Raditz, try and force. So it just depends how you want to do that. But typically, you might want to do this more close to mid to late game, where you'll play Pycon for like 5 energy, and then do his +0 active main ability. You draw a card and put a card under him from your hand, so that way he has 5 markers and a card under him, so you can trigger his Rejuvenate and gain a life after you attack with him, obviously. That way you can obviously gain a life and defend yourself with your defensive cards. Like obviously, before you do that, you definitely want to make sure you have Shenron Figure Majesty, so you can always untap 2 energy, draw a card as well, right? And be able to Oceanus on your opponent's turn if need be, just to defend yourself long enough to stay in the game longer. And the longer you stay in the game, eventually time will run out, and as long as your life is higher than your opponent, you'll win. So that is a strategy you can implement. Keep your life high. And then, of course, anytime you get another Pycon, you just do that all over again, gain another life, so you get the idea. So the idea is you're going to defend, gain life, defend, gain life. But of course, you're going to be swinging, trying to lower your opponent's life points while increasing your own. So that way you kind of keep the scale of power on your side, where you have more life than your opponent. So that's the main thing. That's why I call it Rejuvenate, because we're mainly trying to make sure we take advantage of that. I've mentioned before that your life equals your turns, right? So the more life you have, the more turns you have. So of course we have Dark Mask King. We could play him for 4 energy with his active main if our opponent has 3 or more cards in their warp, or we could just hard cast him for 6, which wouldn't be that hard to do in this deck. He has Deflect, 25k, triple strike. Obviously we could try to use him as a finisher, but he has there's a couple autos, but the main second auto is the once per turn. If your opponent activates a counter skill during a battle with this card, send 1 card in your opponent's life to their warp. So in other words, even though it says counter skill, what they're really trying to say is when your opponent plays a counter attack. Because remember, this has to be in battle, so that means it has to attack in order for this effect to be able to apply to whatever counter skill they play. Unless they create some new, like, counter attack, right? Counter play attack, something like that, right? Counter play attack, where it can be played in counter attack window, but it's a counter play, if that makes any sense. But anyway, the point is, obviously, your opponent tries to negate this card's attack, you'll burn your opponent for 1 life, right? So that's the good thing. It makes it harder for your opponent to try to negate, especially sparking negates, barrier, blocker negates, stuff like that. So this makes it harder to use those cards, because they'll essentially lose 2 life doing so, and we know how easy it is to get our opponent down to 2 life. at least for me anyway. So Black Mass Sane, Splintering Mind. First auto, when you play this card, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, set it to warp. So it's a really good spot removal card to get rid of any problematic card, especially something like a thwarting or something like that. The 8-drop Gogeta thwarting or anything else similar to that. Then he has second auto that's Sparking 7. When this card attacks and you have 7 or more cards in your drop, you could take 2 cards from your life and set them to your warp. And if you do, choose one of your opponent's life and set it to warp. So for the sacrifice of 2 of your life, you can warp one of your opponent's life. So obviously Rejuvenate to gain life so that we can guarantee to make sure that this card can always be active. Because all you really need to do is be at least at 3 life. That way you can use this and still be, alive, right? This effect and warp away one of your opponent's life. So it's nice that we have the Rejuvenate so that way this card can be alive. Because I've been in scenarios where I end up at 2 life and it's like, damn, I can't use this. But I really needed to use it, but I couldn't because like, damn it, I wasn't able to keep my life at 3. And it can happen. But at least now with Rejuvenate, I can fix that. Now I increase my chances. So now I'm bringing this card back because of Rejuvenate. Goku, obviously, for skillless purpose, to use it with the Goku saying Scion, so that way I can obviously aggro as soon as turn 1 and be able to use it defensively by using 1 copy to swing, but using that 1 to defend. The usual stuff. Oceanus, Floodgate Defense, Shenron Figure Majesty, Draw Engine, as well as untap 2 energy, which is the first thing you want to do the first time you play them, which typically should be turn 4. Then after that, you can do other things with them, but typically you'll want to untap energy because whenever you play something, especially if you play this for 6, you would like to be able to untap 2 energy so you can at least have 2 energy left over, for defense. So this is just to make sure you always have energy to defend. So it kind of gives you the Soul Striker effect. This is the original Planeswalker, the original Unison before Unisons became a thing. So I'm bringing this sexy back, right? And then of course it's the draw engine, which you draw a card to trigger its effect. And there's other options of things you can do with it. Obviously, you can bring back a battle card. Battle card costs 2 costs or less with this. A good target for that is Toa Dimension Leaper because she's a blocker with revenge, so that's a very useful thing to block with. Especially if your opponent has battle cards that are 8 costs and higher, right, and can attack more than once. This is a really good card to use against them to get rid of them. Plus, this gets around barrier. She has the counterplay ability where you pay 2, warp 2 cards from your drop, and then you can play her. And again, she's a barrier blocker. I mean, she's a blocker with revenge. She doesn't have barrier. She's a blocker with revenge, so it's a good card to have. It comes in handy in situations where you're taking damage. She gets added to your hand, and you have the energy to play her. So just play her after your opponent plays something, and then you have blocker with revenge. So she acts kind of like another Oceanus. If you use the right, Goku Adventure Begins, he can help you obviously get your 4-star ball, but he also can get you the Goku from the drop or your deck. And the 4-star ball has the ability to give you leader or a battle card 5k power boost. Can't use it on Unisons, remember that. Only leaders and battle cards. But if you use this on a skillless battle card, if you use it on the Goku skillless, he'll give it an extra 5k, so it'll turn Goku into a 20k. I've done that many times, turn it into a 20k swinger. That's always been good for applying pressure. Of course, the Goku Adventure Begins, the more copies you have in play, the more balls you can grab and use them to defend yourself with. Mainly use it defensively, but there are times where you use it with the Goku skillless to go on the offense, because you're trying to get at the life points. Power Burst, negate an attack. Choose one of your black battle cards in your drop or warp and add it to your hand. You could grab a Goku Adventure Begins or a Goku skillless in that scenario, and then
Sparking 5. If you have 5 or more cards in your drop, you can take a card from your life, add it to your hand to play this card for free. So this is our free negate. Saiyan Scion, we mainly use it for its -1 ability to bring out 2 skillless Gokus out, so we can use the Gokus to attack and defend. Plus we attack with the skillless, with the unison itself, obviously. So it's a low cost commitment. A swing has the ability to +1, so that way it could become a 15k, and it can make your skillless battle cards gain 5k extra, so you could turn the unison and your skillless Gokus to 15ks. Be able to swing with them, obviously, and apply pressure even late game. You could use it as an engine to bring back your skillless Gokus, and use your skillless Gokus as combo power, because they do have 5k combo power. Wicked Janemba mentioned earlier to use it to mill our opponent mostly. This is to help us rejuvenate, but we can also use it as a draw engine. And then Radshine's Force, blocker skill. You can block an attack, obviously, and then his auto. Once per turn, once you activate the blocker skill, he restands, so you can block with him again, so you can block 2 attacks per turn. And typically, we reduce our opponent down to 3 attacks a turn anyway, and we use this to block leader and unison swings mostly, so that way we use less negates per turn. So this is our workhorse. Typically, it's the unison you want to keep on the field the longest until your opponent, gets rid of them, and then you replace them with the Majin Buu unison typically afterwards, depending on the situation. He has the +0 ability where you draw a card and then switch this card to active mode. So obviously you can swing with it, draw a card, so it becomes a draw engine, right? Restand it at the end of the turn, so that you can block with it twice in your turn. So that's why, like I said, it's the main workhorse. The main defense and offense and draw power of the deck. Especially since we don't awaken the leader, he makes up for that lack of draw from the leader. But once we get Shenron Figure Majesty, that gets us an extra draw, so we have 2 cards drawing, 2 cards drawing us cards a turn, so a lot of value there. So that makes up for that. And then he has the -2 ability where you can choose one of your opponent's battle cards to return to the hand, then switch one of your blue energy to active mode, in case you ever need to use that ability, which we rarely do. Majin Buu, double strike, blocker, 20k, active main, draw a card, switch this card to, during your opponent's main phase, switch this card to active mode. We don't get to switch the energy to active mode because our leader is not mono blue, but being able to swing with a 20k, double strength every turn, and being able to, draw and restand it, so that way, we don't lose card advantage because we keep drawing. But then of course we could block because he is a blocker, so he's a sword and a shield. And then of course his -1 auto. When your opponent attacks with a battle card, you may choose one of their battle cards and send it to the bottom of the deck. So we could potentially stop 2 attacks with him by blocking and by using his auto. So he's a slightly upgraded Radish Giant Force. And then Gotenks Absolute Unison, dual attack blocker, -2 ability to draw 2 cards in case we go against hand control. But also he has a -3 ability where you can choose up to 2 of your opponent's battle cards, ignore them, and place at the bottom of their deck, which is counter to our milling strategy, but sometimes you gotta get rid of some problematic battle cards that have barrier, and I've used that effect multiple times. So he's always MVP, board wipe essentially. And like I said, he's 20k dual attack, so you can attack with him and defend with him. So he's the sword and shield. So see a pattern of being able to attack my opponent, but still being able to defend myself. And of course, with the leader's ability, making it hard for my opponent to attack with multiple battle cards unless they're 8 costs and higher. So built-in floodgates, and that's the end of the video.